So let's talk about the model that underlies all of strength and hypertrophy. I call this the universal law because it really is universal. So all of strength and hypertrophy can be viewed as the right training times quantity. Really, the strategy is just understanding what the right training is, and then it's just about how much of it you do. So we're gonna understand this for both hypertrophy and for strength, because this is the channel on building strength and muscle at the same time. I'm a coach, and this is exactly how I built 20 kilos of muscle while at the same time building my strength to do some of the things that you're seeing now. So really, all of hypertrophy and all of strength comes down to doing the right training, then how much of it you do, and the result of the right training times quantity is the results that you get in the gym. And it's this linear. Now, the most important thing, since quantity is more intuitive, right? It's just how much of it you do. The question is, what is the right training? So the right training is just training, of course, that results in either strength, and that would be the right training for strength, or training that results in hypertrophy, and that's the right training for hypertrophy. So there's a certain specific kind of training that once you understand what it is, you can just do more of it if you want, and it's gonna result in more results pretty much on command. It's this simple, but it's this important. It actually works like clockwork in reality. Let's start from hypertrophy. So what is this right training for hypertrophy? It's pretty simple. So the right training for hypertrophy, the most important thing is that it is to failure. Actually to failure, or as close as possible to failure. So I have a chart here that shows, shows out of many studies the relationship between hypertrophy, muscle growth, and closeness to failure. So we have muscle growth here, and closeness to failure here. So this is to failure, and you can see that the closer you go to failure and the more muscle you grow. The farther you are from failure and the less muscle you grow. So really the right training, the most important factor for hypertrophy is training to failure. So next time you're thinking about training for hypertrophy to build muscle, realize that the closer you go to failure, the more muscle you're gonna build. Now, training to failure also has a few other benefits. So benefits of training to failure. Because of course, it can be a bit unpleasant, but keep in mind this. First, it's more effective. So you build more muscle, you get a better physique by training to failure. Most important thing. But it's also more efficient. You can think less time. So if you train to failure, you're gonna build a lot more muscle in less time because the training is that much more effective. And finally, you can view it like this, like you are already, for example, doing like 12 reps in a set, okay? The difference from going from 12, which is close to failure, for example, to just doing an extra 3 reps and going to like 15 reps to failure is that important. You're already there. Why not doing that extra couple reps more, going to failure and actually reaping all of the most important benefits to build muscle? So the right training, the most important thing to build muscle is to train to failure. Now, how about strength? Also, by the way, let me remind you of something. If you go to Project Delta and free resources, here under YouTube summaries, you can see all of the summaries of every video that I posted on this channel. And also here in the all-in-one template, you can see all of the templates that I created in the videos, and you can get all of them in one place. And I actually add new stuff to this every week and every month. You can get all of this in the free resources in Project Delta, which is free to join, is the link in the description. And also if you want to just shortcut the learning to build strength and hypertrophy, everything that I ever learned and used, even to bring people up to very elite levels, I put in the Strong and Jacked course that you see here. A lot of the concepts in here I never even ever covered on YouTube, so even if it's just for checking this out and giving it a look, it's in Project Delta, which is the link in the description. For strength is actually a bit different. So the most important thing for strength is not training to failure, but is training with heavy weights. You could even think about practicing with heavy weights. You are teaching your muscles to practice with heavy weights. So you can view it like this. This is the weight, okay? And pretty much strength gets improved after this threshold, okay? Here is where you train your body to get stronger, and here the weight is too light. So what is this range? What's a weight heavy enough so that you train for strength? It's in the 1 to about 6 rep range. So for strength, the right training for strength, the most important thing there is that you train with heavy enough weights. And you can know that your weight is heavy enough if you're working in the 1 to 6 rep range. Now, failure for strength is not important. So I have the other version of the chart. So we saw the chart for failure and how it relates to muscle growth. And you see that the closer you go to failure, the more muscle you build. But for strength, it's actually pretty different. You can see here the chart is flat. So if you go close to failure or stay away from failure, there's actually no difference. Because strength is not about challenging in terms of actually stressing your muscles as much as possible. It's more about practice with heavy weights. It doesn't matter as much that you go close to failure as long as the weight is actually heavy. So the good thing is that as long as you are in the 1 to 6 rep range, you can even stay a bit farther from failure and you're still gonna get strong. And it works really well, I can tell you that. I have many videos on this topic. So it all comes down to the universal law. Next time you train for hypertrophy, remind yourself to failure. It's that important. Next time you're training for strength, remind yourself 1 to 6 rep range. The weight needs to be heavy. And when I train for both strength and hypertrophy, what I do is, first in the workout, I do strength and I train with heavier weights because it's that important to be fresh. Strength first, and after that, I do hypertrophy work to failure. So as usual, at the end of every video, I'm gonna leave you with a clip of a lift of mine from my archive, all very recent, and a physique update, just for, I guess, proof that I practice what I preach. So you can enjoy that. And I'm gonna see you next week. I got a nice banger coming up, so you want to be sure to be there for that.